Corner boxes. The 2-inch art in the top left corner of mainly Marvel Comics adorned issues on newsstands from the 1960s to the 1990s. Stan Lee once told readers to watch for the greatest symbol in comics, a branding move that would help readers on the newsstand quickly ascertain which issue were Marvel Comics and which were not. I've been hearing from so many collectors and comic lovers about how much they absolutely love corner box art. So that's why today I'm diving into questions I've always wondered: who created the corner box art, why did it end, and why do we love it so much? This is Corner Boxes, the story and nostalgia of the 2-inch art. Welcome, comic book fan. I am Chris here at Cheddar Comics, a lifelong comic book fan and collector on a mission to tell the story of comic books. Recently, I went into my local comic shop and saw one of these variant covers by artist Mark Brooks, which is his take on the corner box art. So cool. I loved it, of course. It was like eye-catching. I was like, oh wow, those are so cool. Obviously, they're X-Men, so that helped. But it kind of caught me as an oh wow moment, because I realized, like, if we're doing homage covers to corner boxes, that means that they, first of all, aren't around anymore and that they've been gone for a while. That's why I decided to do this video, because I realized, A, there's love and nostalgia for corner box art, and B, I don't know anything about this 2-inch art that I've loved and admired my whole life. So today the story of the corner box art ends for you and for me. Let's get into it. Although you may know corner boxes from the 90s or the 60s, the idea actually starts with, of course, DC Comics in the Golden Age, like everything else. Now, at this time, and for decades to come, comics were sold on newsstands. And you may have heard of this term and have no idea what it actually looked like. Here's an example. As you can see, comics would be laid out on top of each other, where sometimes you could only see the top of the comic and the title. Companies would have some identifying markers on the top to let you know it was theirs, such as Dell's square logo surrounded by a Dell comic, Archie series rectangle, and the round EC and entertaining publication symbol. All were located on the top left-hand corner in order to be easily seen wherever they were displayed. So over at DC Comics in 1939, Action Comics was an anthology comic, meaning it had multiple stories inside, including, of course, Superman. And with Superman being an immediate hit, but not necessarily being on the cover, they decided to put a small Superman in the top left corner with Action Comics number 16. This way, if other comics were covering most of the cover, the kid in 1939 could still make out that Superman was in that issue and seek it out on the newsstand. Soon after, they would do the same with another anthology comic, Detective Comics, which featured Batman. In 1939, they put a small Batman at the top of the comic above the title. And this was used off and on until Detective Comics 38, which happens to be the first appearance of Robin. Then they started consistently putting that symbol in the top left corner. For both Superman and Batman, this ran consistently for 9 years. But after January 1949, it would be used inconsistently by DC, but wasn't utilized the way it once was. So there, the idea would stay dormant, frozen, and forgotten. Marvel Comics of the Silver Age had barely any markings to let you know it was published by them. This was a trend on most of publisher Martin Goodwin's comics and magazines at this time. The birth of the Marvel Age with Fantastic Four #1 had a small MC in the top right for Marvel Comics, and that was about it. Until artist and Spider-Man Doctor Strange co-creator Steve Ditko had an idea to help Marvel brand itself better. I suggested the corner box with a Marvel hero face and drew a face to show Stan Lee and Sal Brodsky how it would look, and more importantly, how and why the Marvel title with a hero face would be quickly seen recognized no matter how comic books sold in stores were placed in racks. Steve Ditko. The first use of Ditko's new art design was on Amazing Spider-Man number 2 in 1963. The Marvel branding was eye-catching, easy to identify, and was easy to instantly see the character and the price. Steve Ditko was credited by Stan Lee himself as the creator of the corner box art in the letters page Fantastic Four number 18. Steve Ditko dreamed up the idea, and we're sure glad he did. Right away, Stan Lee went to Marvel mastermind artist Jack Kirby to put a corner box on Fantastic Four. His first corner box art appeared on FF14, which hit stands the same month as Ditko's Amazing Spider-Man number 2, and for a while people did credit Kirby with creating it first, but soon discovered it was Ditko, and Kirby never contradicted the claim. Now Marvel was off and running with their new branding, and soon every Marvel comic had a corner box. From Thor to Millie the Model. Now let's take a minute to enjoy some beautiful Silver Age corner box art. Soon, every Marvel comic will be branded with their own corner box art. Once it was established, artists would begin getting creative with their use of the space. For example, some ensemble or team books would put characters in the corner that were inside the comic. Like here for the Avengers, these characters are the ones inside this issue. Or this X-Men one shows you what characters will be inside. They also use it to highlight stars of anthology books like Iron Man and Captain America in Tales of Suspense, or Hulk and Namor in Tales to Astonish. Other times they would use it to feature the most popular character in a team book, such as The Thing, for example, gradually eclipse his co-stars on the Fantastic Four, or Vision for the Avengers. Now that corner box had become tradition, artists could play with the idea. The most creative use of the corner box that came up consistently in my Instagram post was Al Milgram's Incredible Hulk 292 to 300 in 1984, where you can watch the Hulk devolve and rip off his lab coat through the corner boxes. It would work almost like a flip book too, and you can see his transformation over the many issues. And a similar idea was used on the limited series Magic 1 through 4 to show Magic devolving. And here in Walt Simonson's run of Thor, he used it to show Beta Ray Bill being introduced and taking over the issue. Thor was the corner box in 336, but with Beta Ray's first appearance in 337, he smashes into the corner box and stays there for several issues before it goes back to Thor, albeit in a new Walt Simonson pose. And sometimes there would be a one-off or one-use occasion. Here in Amazing Spider-Man 250, as Stern and Romita Jr. were leaving the title, Romita suggested to kids that the book was so good they should steal it. Or here, Todd McFarlane drew a special Spider-Man wearing a Santa hat for the Christmas issue in Amazing Spider-Man 314. It's really fun to see the books and characters change over time and to see artists' different take on how to utilize the corner box. Corner box art ruled at Marvel well into the 1990s. But that would soon change for a few reasons. The first being that the newsstand comic market was fading away for comic book publishers, and direct sales through comic book stores was taking over. Also, habits for collectors and readers had also shifted, where before they may have been buying the comic because it had a certain character in it, like Wolverine, and taste had changed where many readers prefer to buy based on who wrote and drew the comic, and that is now on the comic covers. They would try and bring them back here and there, but there would be no consistent comeback for corner box art, and it would bring an end to the nearly 40-year run of the 2-inch art that means so much to us. And that brings us to the present day, where corner boxes have been gone for decades, yet many of us look back fondly at them. Artist Mark Brooks created variant covers in the last couple years, which I showed in the beginning, that he has the entire cover a new corner box art. He also tried to start a campaign to bring them back. Joe Jusko did a series where he created famous corner boxes in his style that also brought much fanfare for collectors. There is many creators and artisans who recreate singular corner box art. this Etsy shop here 3D prints corner boxes that you can hang on your wall. There's even accounts that consistently are celebrating the art form, like here on Keys and Grails on Instagram, which shows homages and recreations of the original art. Even the original art market is wild for original corner box art. This piece sold for $22,000. Jim Lee's original corner box art on X-Men sold on Heritage for $33,000. So whether it is recreation, homages, or the original art, the market is saying loudly that their nostalgia for this era is strong in more ways than one. And why is that? Is that because they were aesthetically pleasing? Is it because they were the best branding we remember? It's possible, but on a deeper level, I believe it is nostalgia, pure and simple, of an era long gone, an era gone for comics, and possibly a little bit for ourselves. Maybe when we were a little bit younger. Maybe when we had just started reading comics and they were all new to us. A moment in time when you were young and the whole world was ahead of you. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just look pretty. You decide. Let me know in the comments what you think. I just want to thank you for watching the video on corner boxes. As always, this was a blast to research and have an excuse to dive in and collect all these awesome corner boxes you saw during the video by some of my favorite artists. Comment below if you learned anything at all in this video, or if you have a favorite corner box art. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. If you liked it, please be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Much love.